I tried to do a live. Is it because my computer is so old? Is it because it's got malware on it or something? I don't know, but it just does the whirligig. Nothing happens, and I just can't use my old laptop to do a live, so I can't have a little chit chat with you as I have been intending to do. Have you ever noticed that psychics, they have all these, it's just every dead famous person under the sun likes to come in and give them direction, and that they don't like to rest in peace. And, you know, it's never sort of, you know, Meryl Jones from next door who actually might have known something. It's always Suzanne or Tammy or Tylee or, you know, Vanessa, or, you know, all these people just crowding in to speak to these psychics. Anywho, why don't we do a little reading of our own then? So I'm selling some things for a friend who's overseas, and one of these things is the Rainbow Oracle book. So why don't I just do a reading, and I'm not going to presume to do a reading for anyone else, so let's do one for me. So why don't we do a reading as to why I haven't managed to get my lives happening, just for the sake of a subject. Maybe it's because I don't really want to do a live, who knows? What do you reckon? So let's draw 3 cards. What might have been affecting me in the past, what's affecting me right now, and what I can do in the future to, you know, get these lives happening, because there's obviously an energy blockage. There's obviously something that is creating this barrier between us, and just saying, Humanimal, don't go live. It's not for you, or, you know, there's some reason why it's not working, and let's see if these Rainbow Oracle cards have the answer. Wiffle dust. So past, present, future. Past, Zen. All that matters is this moment. Fully experience each day with gratitude, acceptance, and love. So, in the past, I was probably not living in the present moment. Maybe my energy was all over the shop, and I really wasn't ready to do a live. I actually, in the present, feel like I've got a few things that I could talk to you about in a live chat. Anywho, so Zen, the reading says, the art of Zen requires your full awareness in the here and now, for every moment is worth being embraced. Our thoughts can enslave us in the past or the future, dwelling on might or might not be. What might or might not be. Zen is a reminder that it's time to return to the freedom of the present. The typing in this book's pretty bad. The grammar is difficult, so I'm just interpreting as I go. If your mind has been elsewhere, or if you've been busy juggling many things, then you're probably in need of a Zen moment. This card suggests stillness of the mind and the detachment from desired outcomes to obtain the peace you seek. Meditate, sit, move, or walk in quiet awareness, gratitude and acceptance. Retreat from mind and return to now. The Oracle of Zen reminds you of simplicity and the mindfulness of where your attention is going. Immerse yourself in the stillness and unity of mind, body and soul. Allow yourself to flow in the freedom of oneness, where all is perfect right now in this very moment. Well, in the past, yes, I've been pretty worried about the future actually. So, you know, probably quite a lot of people you would expect to have drawn that Zen card in this circumstance then. Present, Muse. You're a source of inspiration. Become the muse of your own life and translate beauty into a universal language. Page 38. The muse is the archetype that wakes you up at 3 in the morning with an inspired idea. She finds fulfillment by breathing inspiration into others, igniting sparks of imagination, and empowers through creative insight. She awakens your inner genius and inspires you through the voice of her soul. In the muse's world, life is art, and routine is often the kiss of death to her creativity and imagination. In the muse, we see the face of creative beauty that illuminates the dark corners of our mind. Meaning, are you the muse or in need of one? If you've lost your passion and spontaneity, time to bring your inner muse out to play. Create adventure and excitement in your life. Inspire and be inspired. Write that book, paint that house, go for that dream, or create that masterpiece. I am still trying to write my book. Have you fallen into that mindset of, one day I'll get around to it? In the muse's world, now is always the right time. In a world that is afraid to touch, feel, and embrace, many are suppressing their passion and sense of unity. The body begins to shut down with the heart and we become numb. The inner muse breathes life back into your soul. She brings ignited passion to situations and ideas and emotional rescue to the uninspired, igniting that fire in the belly and the motivation of creative change. We all have our own unique gifts, talents and abilities to share. This card says display your works of art, show the world your passion, and live in sacred, creative, authentic life in all that you do. So poorly written, but I'm kind of getting the gist here. So Muse, yeah, you know, I mean, it's actually, I've had some wonderful periods in my life where I have had people that have really been a muse to me. They've been a muse, just inspiration in how I express my persona, in my humour. I've had muses that have inspired me to just be an more interesting person to be around and to have fun and really being that sort of fun-filled person and to do things on my own, of course. But, you know, when you don't have a muse, when your partner isn't a muse, when you don't have that to fro, life can be very, very unfulfilling and uninspiring. And you know, when you're around someone that wit, that click is happening and you feel yourself that you're full of life, you know, you really want to be around those people. It's sad when you don't have someone to be a muse, or when you feel like you don't have muse in your life and you're not feeling very creative, like you've got nothing to say, like you've got no point of view, or yeah, and you're not inspired in any way. Yeah, it's really horrible. So muse, so that's the here and now, so that's interesting. And then into the future. Light's terrible, isn't it? Into the future. This says Multidimensional Self. Your awareness is expanding, integrating consciousness to become your highest expression of being. So let's look up Multidimensional Self. Page 118. Maybe I could have read your cards for you if we were doing a live. I could get you just to tell me when to stop shuffling. Multidimensional Self, so my future, when we're thinking about my YouTube channel, as we were talking about this in terms of going live. Why am I not going live? Meaning, you are a multidimensional soul, a diamond with many facets of colour that change with the movement and angles of your design. You are more than you could ever comprehend in this physical world, for you have no beginning nor end, for you are eternal life, forever expanding through the eons of time. Every experience is yet another reflection of colour in the diamond of your soul. The message of this oracle asks you to stretch your mind beyond the physical limitations. When you understand that you are a small fragment of a much larger expanse of self existing in many dimensions, you unlock your mind to greater possibilities. You have drawn this card because you are going through a time of integration as your consciousness expands to know all of itself, all of its colours and designs, all the aspects of the whole coming together as one. Your awareness is growing, and perhaps you're wanting to explore the vastness of your multifaceted self. This can encompass your skills, spiritual gifts, talents, hobbies, or interests. You are a significant piece of the greatest jigsaw puzzle in the universe. Embrace every part of yourself. So that was my reading that we have done for me today out of my friend's The Rainbow Oracle, written by Jasmine Safi, who is a psychic and spiritual artist. There Jasmine is there. She looks like quite an attractive woman of about middle age. So my card was Zen for the past, Muse for the present, and Multidimensional Self for my future, for Humanimal Channel, the interactive channel. Yeah. There you have it. So we've done some cards, we've had a little chat. Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do about my computer. I might take it somewhere and get it looked at and maybe get a new sort of hard drive USB stick put on, like a new operating system, and perhaps that's going to help, because I do have a lot of things that I want to talk with you all about, and I've alluded to some of these things in little snippet videos, and some of these things are to do with the conversations that really we are having, the intimacy that we really are having with other people, what we really know about what they're going through, and you know, how do we start conversations with people that we know and care for, and how do we continue them and expand on them so that they don't remain surface, and so that we create a truly safe and trusting space. You don't always tell your dearest friends things, and it can be easier to talk to strangers. Interestingly, I had an experience a couple of days ago which really moved me, actually. So I was working and a young lady came to my place of work with her pet, and she started crying. And I'm so glad it was me that met her at the door and that saw her. And I put my arm around her, took her aside with her little pet, and I asked her, is she concerned, you know, I thought, is she concerned about the care of her pet? And I asked her, are you concerned about being able to provide food for your pet? And she cried some more, and it turns out she is worried about that, but she's actually hungry herself. In fact, she was starving and hadn't eaten for a while. She did have worries about her pet. She'd had this pet for only a few days, this adorable little Alsatian girl. And yeah, I'm glad. I won't go the back and forth and how I discussed it and how I drew out what was wrong and you know, but you know, that's what I found out. What was wrong was, you know, so I was able to help her. I got her a phone number and an address and gave her some money and sent her somewhere to get food parcels, and I certainly hope she went. And I wasn't supposed to be at this role this day, and I think life puts you where you need to be. I knew where this young lady could go to get the help she needs. I couldn't 100% say that, you know, that she wouldn't have told someone else what her true worry was and why she was upset, because she started off by saying, oh, it's just been a shit day, you know, my click and collect wasn't ready, but you know when you're going to go deeper, don't you? And I am very interested in how to talk to people in distress. It's my passion, and I study it because I want to be ready for it, and I'm so glad I do and was able to help this lady. I've done a lot of suicide prevention training and various peer work training and things like that. It's easier for people to open up when they're talking to a peer that has lived experience. And sometimes with friends you can't, they really don't understand, and to some, you know, why someone has suicidal ideation, people might be thinking, what is that all? Or why is that the worry? You know, when maybe students are so stressed out about getting good grades. I mean, that is just so devastating, you know, when that sort of thing happens. Anywho, I'm glad I was in the place that I was at the time. I wasn't supposed to be there. I was able to help this young lady by truly connecting, listening, created that trust straight away where she didn't just say that she was frustrated with her day. I got to the root of the problem, and it would have been very hard for her to say that she was very hungry, starving in fact. She had driven here in her car, she had a new puppy, she had a lot of worries. And I wanted to make sure that everything was right at home, and that was my sense that I had. Anywho, so where was I going with this? Yeah, I think in some of the lives I'm wanting to talk about what women go through, not to exclude men. Men have their own hassles and judgments thrown upon them and things like that, but just as women, you know, I think about this a lot. Suzanne Morphew, who could she tell? Who really knew her? Was she going through something, or is this just a devastating event out of the blue? Or was she living with something? Was she living with something that was stressing her out? That she has never been able to confide in her church group. She wouldn't want to burden her daughters. Maybe there's vibes, but, you know, there's no specifics. You know, we just don't know. Why is it that people don't have these safe spaces? You know, if you're suicidal, you get taken to A&E and you get traumatized through a hospital system, and there's no real safe space where you can just be with people that understand what you're going through, because they are peer workers. They've got that lived experience. Tammy Daybell, you know, was there anyone at all that she could confide in? Did she feel like the town idiot, the village idiot? Because her husband, let's just say, all I need to say is Chad Daybell, was Chad Daybell, you know, so what sort of humiliation was Tammy living with? What decisions was Tammy making? Who could she speak to? Was she able to go to elders in her church and actually confide with them? Are these the people that were enabling groups like the Chadists and the Cult of the Gathered to exist in their parishes? So what help would they be to Tammy if leaving a marriage through divorce is taboo, etc.? Yeah. You know, how do we make it safe to have dialogue? Because you're not safe telling every friend everything. People lose friends, people get judged, people get really bad advice, people feel worse than they did in the first place. People get gossiped about. Where is this trust? We need to know where we can go to talk to people. Just like the stranger who came in for pet care where I was at work and opened up to a stranger who had the lived experience and awareness to realise the type of serious thing that I thought this woman was actually living with, and I didn't brush it off as just a bad day, nerves, etc., and make a jovial little, it's all right, and, you know, and just try not, you know, not to embarrass her, and let's just move on and make a joke and let her have to cope with her feelings. I hope I've made a difference in someone's life, and let's try and make a difference in the lives of the people that we know and love as well, and make that a really safe space. With suicide prevention, with suicide intervention, it's so important to say the words suicide and not talk in euphemisms. It's really important not to say, have you thought of harming yourself? Have you been thinking of doing anything? You know, you must say, you know, Mary, are you thinking of committing suicide, or are you thinking of killing yourself? Not harming, not of doing something to yourself. You must use the words, and you must make that a comfortable thing to talk about. And you must make it okay for them to talk about it, and you're not just going to dismiss them and rush them off to hospital so that they can be committed. You're going to spend that time and go through a process, because this is the human condition. I don't think enough people realise what sort of human condition we are all juggling in our lives. You know, it's not just hard times, anxiety, joy, frustrations, juggling a family, etc. I mean, anybody and anyone can also have suicidal ideation or serious suicidal thoughts. Always look for changes in behaviour, people stopping the activities that they did, sudden lightheartedness maybe, all sorts of clues. But you need to prove that the trust is there and that you really are empathetic with them, you're down with them where they are, and you'll do it together. that you might not have the answers, but you can help them find them, because other people have gone through it, other people have found answers, and that you're going to help them every step of the way. Because it is very scary for people to admit things like they are having suicidal thoughts, because of the fear of that power and control. Having freedom taken away, because you're in a crisis, you're really feeling like that, but you desperately want someone to help you come off that precipice, and not traumatize you more by putting you into a hospital where you're then worried about your pets, or you might lose your job because you haven't turned up for work. 100 years ago, when I was working as a cook in a restaurant, and yeah, I lost the job because I was taken along to Kellam Park in Sydney. It took 5 police officers to get me into a vehicle, and I was actually a victim of gaslighting and domestic abuse, and I was taken away by a police car. I wasn't processed in jail. I think I really rather would have had it. Instead, I was taken to a mental hospital, and it was quite traumatizing. Yeah, they don't give you a bra to wear, but they'll let you smoke cigarettes. At least they did back in the day. And, you know, that's just a flash in the pan experience out of many that I've had. I was also suffering severe mental illness. So, but unfortunately, I was then able to get myself discharged as well. Yeah, so this is long and rambly. We've got 27 minutes of me just talking about how I'm not able to have a chat with you. So I'll end it here. Hope you have a lovely night. Yeah, can we women and men just start thinking about our relationships, how truly safe we make it for our friends, family, colleagues, and strangers to open up to us? Can we think about the type of language that we use when we are trying to help people? Can we think about our own fear in talking to people about things? If we can overcome that, it can show them that we're unafraid. You know, can we not be afraid of the burden of being there for someone? That is actually something that is extremely daunting, and that can be hard when you don't have tools yourself, or when you are in a very difficult place yourself. Sometimes when you are in a very difficult situation yourself, it is hard to be there for others, but it can also make you quite responsive to the emotional needs of others as well. But there are so many barriers to why we don't reach out, because maybe we think we can't cope, maybe we think someone, you know, they'll sort it out, or it's not your problem, or we don't want to fail, let someone down, ruin our own lives. There could be lots of reasons. We do need more services to be available in the community, visible and available. But the reason why I talk about this stuff, and I'm going to start talking more about stuff and personal experiences, because I want to break down the stigma. Stigma is a killer. Stigma, that shame, that pride. Is this why people like Marilane, I'm not sure what happened to her, but is this why people can't get the help and tragedies happen? Because of stigma, shame. It's got to stop. There should be no more, you know, these senseless deaths and these senseless, you know, the loss of these people, you know, these children that now don't have a mother, etc. 29 and 48, I will speak to you later. Thanks for listening. Let me know what you'd like to chat about in the comments. Speak to you later.